Relationships. They can be good, they can be great, they can be bad, they can be hard, they can be fun, they can be whatever you want to make them. Some last for a little bit, some last for a long time. Relationships that I am going to be talking about in the next series of videos are those of marriages, spouses, partners, whichever it may be. Okay. Same standards would apply to friendships or whatever. But my focus in the next several videos is going to be that of long term relationships or relationships that you've started thinking that they would be long term. Okay. With that being said, this will be a very long video. It's going to be broken up in multiple videos, a couple a week. And my goal is just to put the word out there about how to identify bad relationships, how to improve relationships that are just needing some touch ups, how to improve the relationships that you're in, how to understand each other. So, that is going to be what we're going to be talking about. So, first first video here is just talking about relationships, when we first meet people in our lives, and especially if it's somebody that you could see yourself being in a romantic relationship or a long-term relationship, it's fun. It's, the whole hype of it. It's that honeymoon phase. It's the getting to know each other. It's the building, those little date nights and going out and, just making every day the best. You're texting 1,000 times a day. You're calling each other every morning and night, sometimes during lunch or whenever. It's fun. Relationships, bring such hope to us that we really indulge ourselves into who we are with, right? And that's amazing. That's great. During this phase of the relationship, we're setting boundaries. That should be something that we're doing immediately. Just because you found somebody that is amazing, sexy, whatever, doesn't mean that you can, let them do anything to you or you should do anything to them. We've got to set strong boundaries and in the very beginning, because if we don't, we're just opening ourselves for bad behaviors in the future, opening ourselves for things we don't like, opening ourselves for, morals and values to be ran all over. And if the person that you're engaged with or, working with or wanting a relationship with doesn't give you or set any boundaries, you often can run over them too, believe it or not. I'm not going to make this a one sided situation, you know? We have to really work at building boundaries. Once we have boundaries, right? That communication is very, very important in this phase of relationships. The whole getting to know each other, the whole, setting our boundaries, sharing our lives, who we are, what we want, what we're about, um, letting them know our morals and values, just having very open communication, finding out interest and finding out things that we don't like, finding out what your goals are and what you plan to do in life, because in this phase of relationships, you might know that one wants to travel to Alaska and the other one has no freaking desire to go to Alaska because it's too damn cold. It's just too cold. If you know that in the beginning, because we're communicating and talking about it and we're being our genuine self, it saves a lot of pain and heartache 5 years down the road when, person A wants to go to Alaska and the other person's like, well, go by yourself, but you're married. Yeah, that's a problem. This is the very first phases of, relationships, is that communication, having vital communication that really is opening and encouraging and allows you to get to know one each other. That's foundation of in this phase. If it turns into something long term, you've made a solid foundation if you're able to communicate and talk about things. Now, could there be times down the road that it's different and difficult? Yes, but you have a solid foundation if you can at least start that communication in this early phase of relationships. Um trust. It's when we've set boundaries that are being respected. It's when we're able to openly communicate. It's when we're having those hard conversations, those easy conversations, learning what each other likes, learning what people don't like. That's when we start building trust in those relationships. And if you don't ever get any trust and you always feel icky, that ick in your gut, you probably don't want to continue that relationship. If you feel like it's not something that you can trust for today, it's definitely not going to be something that you can trust for years. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that you should just run because the person's not going to divulge their whole life history to you on date one. That's not what I'm saying. Not at all. I'm saying after we started building tools and foundations and we're communicating and this is going on for time, I can't give you a generalized time. It's not 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. I'm saying it's when you start seeing that there's more reasons to not trust than to trust, you probably want to go ahead and skip on out. You probably want to go ahead and check yourself out. Okay. Because if that trust is not felt, you will feel miserable in anything that happens in the future, you know? Now, again, we have to take into what I just said. I'm not saying you're going to trust somebody on the first date or the first conversation or, 1 weekend or 1 month in. If you're with somebody or you are one that has been in a traumatic experience or has had things happen in life where trust is just not so easy for you, you're going to need to decide when that trust is there. Okay. You're going to need to be the determining factor of that. They are going to be need to be the determining factor of how they're feeling. Because at that point, that is when we're more solid. We're starting to grow together. We're starting to be very unique and genuine and authentic with each other. And we feel like we can trust you to, I don't know, drive our car or, hey, here's a check, go cash it. Or, hey, come over to the house and stay a weekend or whatever. The more that we're opening up and learning and growing, that trust will be there. But if you're never feeling that or they're never feeling that, it's time to reevaluate that relationship and time to move on. Friendship could be remained, but maybe you're not for lifelong partners. If it's somebody that I can't trust, I'm probably not going to be close friends with them either. I'm going to be like, yeah, nope, thanks. Because trust is huge. Trust is a very big part of life and relationships of any dynamic, right? So then we're talking about relationships. We've got some boundaries. We've got trust. We're communicating really well. Sometimes it's been 3 months, sometimes 6 months, sometimes a year, sometimes 5 years. We decide that we're going to go ahead and blend our lives. Okay. This can be simple and this can be hard. Okay. When you have already established families, say you've been married before, this could be a harder process for you to blend your families and move in with each other than if you have no children and there's been no past, right? So it's not always easy, but it makes it easier if you have that communication and you trust who you're blending with, and it's easier to fall into that process of blending our lives together, right? You might blend your lives together, move in together, but you still don't have a shared checking account. That's okay too. There's nothing in writing that says you have to share a checking account. Nowhere. Not at all. And you might decide to move in together and then, oh, you have a joint account. That's fine too. You have to gauge what's good for you in any relationship that you're in. You have to understand where you're at in life. You have to know what you want and you're desiring. You have to know what they want and desire. You have to have all the hard communications and talks, all the easy communication and talk. You have to build the trust. You have to work at it together. You really have to figure it out together. Okay. And I say this because sometimes I think we all get fairy tale images in our head. Okay. So, like, I don't know, I'll just give myself for an example. Okay. When I met William 20 plus years ago, it was a whole different situation for me. I had some trauma in my past, so I kind of immediately bonded. And he had his own situations and he didn't really immediately bond. But instead of talking about it, he just cut me off. Like, we just didn't talk anymore after that first time. But the good thing with that is that it allowed me to know he wasn't where I was at, and of course, I wasn't where he was at. There's the truth with that. But here we are 20 plus years later, and our lives are a whole lot different, and situations have changed. And I've been through a marriage, and he's been through a marriage, and we've been through a divorce. Like, there's been things that are similar, but there's been a lot of differences. Um, and I can honestly say that when I got with my husband, everybody, that whole fairy tale thing. No, it wasn't. It was not a fairy tale. It really wasn't. And my wedding was horrible. Like, you can ask anybody in my family and they will laugh. Like, Diane's wedding. They're going to make me the laughing joke, and they're going to tell you every horrible thing. And now today I can look back and say, damn, I probably should have listened to my gut and the signs that I was giving at the time be and not even entered that marriage. But I didn't. I didn't. Because again, I trauma attached and I easily forgave. And I really don't think that I had boundaries back then. So it really ended how it should have ended, probably. We shouldn't be married. We should be where we are today. He should be living his life. I should be living my life. There's no hate for the man. There's no reason to hate him. Um, but I'm just not with him. He's not my spouse. He's not my person. And that's good. We moved on. When William and I reconnected, that was like the aha moment for me. Because lo and behold, one night I was at the casino, because that's what I do. And he was sitting in his house watching the Super Bowl, because that's what guys do. And he texted me, and then I ended up at his house and we talked for 4 hours that night. And I stayed out uber late because I had to get up super early. And nothing was done sexual, nothing was done, intimately, but it was amazing. That was the aha for me. Like, it felt different this time. It felt wanted and desired, and I felt wanted, desired, and I could see him smile differently than I seen him smile before. Like, I could see the changes. But we still had some problems. There was still some things that we had to shake around and move around, and we had to talk about, and we had to talk about our boundaries and what we would and wouldn't want. And it was difficult, but it was so easy, because when it got hard, we communicated. Okay. We communicated, and we allowed ourselves to be vulnerable and have discussions that were not easy. And therefore, it seemed hard, but it ended up being great, if that makes sense. Um, with that being said, trust was hard. Like, I can tell you, I had no trust in him. None. It didn't happen immediately. And I about screwed up. I about screwed up us. I about screwed up this relationship that felt so great. Because I was living from the trauma in the past. So we took a little bit of a break, and I did some therapy. I worked on me. I did what I needed to do. And in the meantime, he seen that I was growing and willing. And, he gave me a chance that well, I know I deserved it, because I did do what I needed to do. So here we are today. You know, we still have things in our relationship that there can be struggles. I'm not saying it's perfect, but this is how life should be. I will honestly tell you that William thinks or thought that there should be fireworks going off, and like life was going to be perfect, and we were going to be like the Brady's, and we were just going to be so and so when things would happen, he's like, well, I thought, why aren't we perfect? Well, tell me what perfect is, because I'll do anything to be perfect. So he had to adjust his wants and his needs. He had to reevaluate that. Um, but again, we worked through it. We communicated. We talked about it. We talked about the hard things. We talked about, all the things that needed to be discussed to create this relationship that has beautifully blended now. And we are better for all the struggles that we have been through. And I'm very big on telling him, I just need to know what I need to do. If it's something I need to do different, I need to learn, because you're worth learning for. And I take that very true to what I say. If I am doing something offensive, because I can be that way, I can also tell you that I will also want to know what it is because I can't change unless I know, just like he can't change unless he knows. Right. So relationships are good. Relationships are amazing. It's great to have a partner in crime. It's fun to have a travel buddy. It's fun to, have somebody to trust and that respects you and that loves you for all that you are. And that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, and I'm going to throw some tips in there, some helpful information along the way. I did decide to break this up. So basically, I'm just going to end this video and I'm going to record more. That way I can stay on topic and stay passionate to this because I think everybody needs to talk about relationships. But as always, I do want to tell you that if you have any questions, concerns, comments, if you need to reach out to me on my YouTube, there is a email link that you can email to me directly, and I will get back to you. Okay. If you know me personally, give me a text. If you know William personally, send him a text and say, hey, I will get any message that you guys need to send out. But for now, I want you guys to step back and understand that I am very passionate about relationships and working on them and making them the best and knowing what we need to do. Sometimes it's not always fun. Sometimes you need to leave the relationship. Sometimes there's problems in the relationship. I want to get information out on how to help with that and what resources there are. I want to do all of that with this today, with this video series, I guess. So I hope you guys will sit back, wait for videos. We're going to be doing the 2 a week and just hear me out until the very end. I don't know if I'll have 6, 7, 8 videos, but if something comes out in the middle of a video that you want to talk to me about, send me a message, shoot me a message. Okay. So for now, I want to thank you guys for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Come back for more videos because they're coming soon. Thanks, guys.